activities and events will be held for International Women's Day on March 8th across Turkey. Women will also organize rallies in Kurdish cities, Mardin, Ahmed, Shirnak and Batman cities. All women in the region are invited to attend the rally with great enthusiasm. Let's join the rallies with the spirit of Nowruz. Fatma Doğan, an activist of the Free Women's Movement, spoke to Nur Jinan news agency about the rally to be held in Batman province. We will hold meetings in the villages and city center. We will discuss what we can do for women. Recently, more women have been subjected to violence, harassment and rape. We will take to the streets to speak out against gender-based violence. We, as women, will take to the streets on March 8th. All women should join the rallies to demand their rights, Fatma Doğan said. Songül Eden, an activist of the TGA working in Shirnak, calls on the women of Botan to join the rally to be held in Shirnak on March 8th. We as the women of Botan should raise our voices. We should take to the streets to respond to the male state system. Not only the women of Botan, but also all working and resisting women around the world should take to the streets for our rights. We should join hands and organize, Songül Eden said. Yasmin Yücer, an activist of the TGA in Ahmet, underlined that March 8th is a symbol of resistance for women. All women should protect their rights to mark International Women's Day. We call on women to join that rally in Ahmet with the spirit of Nowruz. We, as the women of Ahmet, will be the voice of imprisoned women and protest the isolation. For this reason, we initiated our activities and events for International Women's Day in Kobane. Ayşe Layav, an activist of the TGA in Mardin, spoke about the activities for International Women's Day in Mardin. We as women can do everything if we unite and organize. If we organize better and unite, we can end gender-based violence and femicides. In this way, we can gain more achievements and protect our current achievements. We began to hold our activities for IWD in February. We take to the streets and we will continue to take to the streets for our rights. Seven years ago, the Dolmabahçe agreement for the resolution of the Kurdish question and democratization of Turkey was announced in Istanbul. The People's Democratic Party called for a return to the will for a solution expressed at that time. In a statement published on 28th of February, the HDP Central Executive Board said that February 28, 2015 was a historic moment for the democratization of Turkey and the solution of the Kurdish problem. Documents which express the truths always re-emerge even after years. Today, the multiple crises, global tensions and geopolitical risks that Turkey is facing, making it necessary to return to the Dolmabahçe Agreement. It is an urgent need to return to the Dolmabahçe Agreement in order to get rid of the crisis and global risks. Therefore, we call on all political actors in Turkey to return to the Dolmabahçe Agreement in a bid to save not only the present but also the future of Turkish society. The Dolmabahçe Agreement was announced to be public, leading to the promotion of democracy, freedom and peace in Turkish society. It was the most important document in the history of the Republic that paved the way for social peace and democratic negotiations. The following remarks were made in the statement. The agreement introduced a new approach by readdressing the relations between state citizen, state society and different identities and established democratic politics. However, the ruling AKP government was in favor of war and violence and denied the Dolmabahçe Agreement. Aggressive war policies strangled the solution spirit of the Dolmabahçe Agreement, which ended up with the aggravated isolation imposed on Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan. The isolation of Öcalan, whose historical role in ensuring social peace was confirmed, has been transformed into a form of government. On February 28, 2015, the Dolmabahçe Agreement was declared in Istanbul. The agreement was a 10-point plan negotiated between Abdullah Öcalan and the Turkish state for resolution to the Kurdish question. The Kurdish side was represented by the HDP, and the delegation included Pervin Buldan, Siri Süreyya Önder, and Idris Baluken. The peace process was terminated shortly thereafter by Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Over 10,000 people in whole North and East Syria have added their voices to a global campaign calling for the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, to be removed from international terror lists. It marks a major statement of support from the Arab town, which has gained international fame as the site of a camp housing tens of thousands of ISIS-linked individuals, both Syrians, Iraqis, and international citizens. In a statement, Deli Al-Ahmed of the local Democratic Union Party said, Turkish fascism commits crimes against the Kurdish people and denies their identity. This is allowed to continue due to political hypocrisy. Critics say the PKK is only included on terror lists at Turkey's behest, to stifle legitimate debate or any attempt toward a resolution of the crisis in Turkey. Outreach efforts are expected to continue in Nes and elsewhere, as campaigners aim to collect millions of signatures across the globe. On 28th of February, it was announced that 22,000 signatures had also been gathered in the Kurdish, Christian and Arabic town of Dildemir. Turkish intelligence and the Iraqi Kurdistan Democratic Party worked together to attempt to frame the Kurdistan Workers' Party for the 1986 assassination of Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme. A new investigation has revealed. Reports included in the archives of the East German state police, the Stasi, indicate that Turkish intelligence services were in fact themselves suspects in the killing, which shocked Sweden and provoked global condemnation. But Turkey's MIT intelligence service was working to feed information to intelligence agencies, which attempted to frame members of the PKK for the crime. They sent a list of named PKK members to authorities seeking information as to who was responsible for the assassination. Turkey has consistently claimed the PKK were involved in Mr. Palme's assassination, despite a lack of any evidence for the claim. On June 10th, 2020, Sweden officially declared that the Kurdish movement and the PKK had nothing to do with the assassination, with question marks remaining over the true motivation behind the assassination. Olof Palme was a Swedish politician who served as Prime Minister of the Scandinavian country from 1969 to 1976, and again from 1982 to 1986. His democratic non-aligned government became well known for its support for decolonization and liberation movements across the globe and the Third World. This included support for the Kurdish liberation movement, while Mr. Palme was also a vocal supporter of struggles in Cuba, South Africa, Vietnam and elsewhere. The Swedish prosecutor finally laid the blame on a Swedish national, Stig Engström, who died in 2000. But question marks remain over the killing, since Mr. Palme's foreign policy garnered him a number of opponents across the globe, though the Kurdish movement is now known to have nothing to do with the assassination. The Swedish government has never formally apologized to the PKK for the allegations. Civilians in the Shehba region have been building stone berms with their hands in an attempt to defend themselves from outgoing Turkish artillery fire and assaults against the region. The crude defenses are intended to protect the kilometer-long road between local villages, which comes under daily fire by the Turkish armed forces and their proxies in the Syrian National Army. Hundreds of locals contributed to the construction effort, with the wall expected to reach 2.5 meters in height as a form of basic defense against Turkish shells, artillery rounds and mortars. Up to 200,000 civilians were displaced and hundreds killed in the assault on Afrin. Many of those displaced now live in the isolated Shehba region. In addition to regular, deadly attacks by the TAF and SNEA targeting medical and civilian infrastructure, as well as military targets, they also suffer under an embargo imposed by the Syrian government. More adequate building materials to shelter local traveling between their homes or to work on agricultural land are therefore not available. A new center for Yazidi women has been opened in the IDP-populated enclave of Shehba, northern East Syria, to support members of the minority faith group who have suffered following Turkey's assaults on Nes. The center in Sedem camp will offer multiple forms of assistance to Yazidi women. Shehba is home to tens of thousands of primarily Kurdish IDPs who fled Turkey's 2018 invasion and occupation of Afrin, the majority Kurdish region isolated from the remainder of northern East Syria. Afrin was also home to a significant minority population of an estimated 25,000 Yazidis, virtually all of whom fled their region following Turkey's invasion and occupation. The United Nations has specifically described the major violations conducted against the Yazidis on the basis of their faith and ethnicity in the Turkish-occupied regions, with members of the minority faith forced to convert to Islam at gunpoint. Yazidi women have been specifically and systematically targeted with sexual and other forms of violence as part of an ongoing policy of forcible demographic change. They have been assaulted and described as infidels and pigs, and detained in illegal black sites to be used as sex slaves per international reports. A new center for Yazidi women recently opened in Aleppo, while another branch is set to open in Trebispi in March 2022. An art exhibition in Kobane in northern East Syria has come to an end. 20 artists displayed 70 works across the course of the 3-day exhibition, which was set up with the intention of preserving Kurdish culture and encouraging young artists. The third annual exhibition occurred under the directorship of the artist Mohammed Shaheen and was held under the motto, "The Mishte Nur rainbow decorates the songs of freedom." Mishte Nur Hill was a key site in the 2014 Kobane War when Kurdish-led forces defeated ISIS for the first time in a victory which won the region international recognition and support. All the artists who displayed work were awarded certificates by the Arts and Culture Committee of the Autonomous Administration in the local region. The celebration of local art and culture ended with traditional Kurdish dance.